Let's freaking go. Fun guest joining us a little bit later in today's program, along with an announcement here that LSU's starting defensive end, Jack Pyburn, will join the show Tuesday night at 6:30 Central. So don't miss out on that. You will absolutely, positively love it. And I also liked this.
People talk about, well, what's your process? It is to build those traits in our players so they can deliver when their best is needed. You want attention to detail on 4th and goal. You want great habits when they're needed, when you're on the road and you're playing in Death Valley Junior, not the Death Valley. That's what you need. You need those traits on a day-to-day basis.
Death Valley Junior. Not the real Death Valley, the fake Death Valley. The Death Valley that comes after the 3-time national championship winning LSU Tigers. Obviously, it's Quattro, but that's all the way from yesteryear. The truth is that I like it. Not for the reason that a lot of you probably would like. I do think it puts an even bigger target on Brian Kelly's back that you come out and say that. Obviously, ACC Media Days is going on. Then Clemson players were asked about that. Dabo just had a viral quote about a Brian Kelly story where he thought he was going to be meeting or seeing Brian Kelly sing, and it was actually the Brian Kelly of Florida Georgia Line who was performing, and it was hilarious. And the Clemson player said, we'll just let our talking take care of business on the field, blah, 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 blah. But I do think this gives Clemson some bulletin board material. I do think it puts a little bit more pressure on Brian Kelly going into the season opening game. And I know a lot of LSU fans feel different about this because we have lost 5 consecutive season openers, and we're also going to be the underdog versus Clemson. But here is the one thing that you should like about that. You know, one thing I don't like in life is a bitch. I flat out hate bitch behavior. I know that's not a good word to say, and YouTube might demonetize me, but every single year there are some coaches who bitch. You know who one of those coaches is? It's the coach that beat us in the season opener last year in Lincoln Riley. And what did Lincoln Riley say earlier today? Well, he said he wants a current or a certain playoff format that would behoove USC for them to keep Notre Dame on the schedule just in case they were to lose to Notre Dame. They have a little bit bigger of a landing strip to get into the college football playoff. Those are basically the paraphrased. I'm not going to play the whole clip because it's boring. It's Lincoln Riley. He's just boring. But basically, it's him wanting a longer landing strip if they were to lose so they could still get into the playoff. I hate that. Remember last year, it was a report from Matt Hayes that nobody ever really refuted that Lincoln Riley and USC were trying to get out of playing LSU in the season opener or trying to move some things around regarding that season opening game. The one thing I can respect about Brian Kelly is that he is not a bitch. He is not a baby back bitch like a lot of these other coaches. He is the one that says, F it, give me an extra conference game. Give it to me. I don't give a damn. Not only does he say it, his boss says it, Scott Woodward. I'm not going to play the clip because we've done a few live streams on this. And while that is bold, and while Lincoln Riley is doing the smarter thing, because every team just wants to get into the playoff because you make more money and it gives you a chance to win the national championship. All I've heard over the past week of Big Ten Media Days, the only news that even came out of Big Ten Media Days is about the SEC. Them talking about the SEC soft schedule, ACC Media Days. Rhett Lashley coming after the SEC, which was dumb. I won't get into all that. Our guest yesterday wrote plenty of good articles on that, and that, of course, is Chris Marler. So the truth is, I like confidence. I do. Do I think Brian Kelly, Death Valley Jr.? Yeah, that kind of leans into what fans have been saying since this game was scheduled. A home and home in Death Valley and Death Valley. It seems a little childish, and I could totally understand if you don't like it. I could totally get it. But the truth still remains the same. I'm tired of coaches just constantly talking about whatever it takes for them, the easiest path for them to get into the college football playoff. Whether you're a 5-11 guy or you're a 4-4, 3-2, 1-6 East Side Chickadilly guy, whatever, I don't care. I just want college football's regular season to still matter. And I hate it when coaches like Lincoln Riley say, well, this game that we have been playing for hundreds of years, I don't want it to matter as much. If it were to matter more, I don't want it on our schedule because Notre Dame's good. It's a non-conference game, and it's harder for us to get into the playoff if we lose. Shut the F up and win the damn game. Win the damn game. That's all I got to ask. Win the damn game. So there you go. Now, next thing. We're going to be releasing a bunch of short form content. I'm not a big believer in short form. I don't think I'm meant for short form content. They take a while to edit because I don't want to just release some BS. So follow me on Instagram, TikTok, at Power Hour LSU, even though I lost my Power Hour LSU TikTok login. I'm going to be cutting and releasing a lot of shorts. And, of course, we have other content. If you're an SEC fan, this has been a Georgia content week. After watching Georgia for a full week, I've grown less excited about them. And I kind of wish LSU would be playing them this year because I do think LSU would have a good chance of actually beating Georgia in a regular season game because we've done mostly well historically versus Georgia. It's been about even, but, it's been a good matchup. But go to there, obviously doing stuff on the NFL channel, released a Bo Nix film study. All that stuff is great. But ultimately, my heart is here. So we're really excited about Jack Pyburn joining us. And, when Jack's on Tuesday, I'll tell the story of how this all came to be. So there you go. Now, next thing. Actually, before we do that, let's say hi to Sam, Big Dex, William, Brennan, Lance. Let's go to Christian. BK is setting up to be the biggest joke in the country again. Yeah, I mean, if you were to compare the two coaches going into this game, even though Dabo on paper I feel has a better team this year and they're at home, there's just so much more pressure on Brian Kelly. Like, it's not even remotely close. I don't think people realize that even though Clemson has kind of been off, they actually did go to a playoff last year. And Dabo is the safest coach maybe in the entire country. Like, I could even say Dabo is safer than Ryan Day, who just won a natty. Because Ryan Day's got to be Michigan at some point. I could see Ohio State being really, really, really bad this year, which they won't be. And if they lost to, let's just say Ohio State went 7-5 and they lost to Michigan, there would be some phone calls being made. If Clemson were to go to 7-5, Dabo is still safe until he doesn't want to coach there anymore. There's no pressure on his shoulders. There's a lot on Brian Kelly. Okay? The truth is, yes, I think a lot of you in your gut don't believe in BK. A lot of you just don't. And that's fine. I have my skepticisms as do those who believe in him, that he will eventually get us to the playoff and back into the national championship game. It is interesting that with all of this success that we have had since 2011, we have 2 SEC titles. 2. The Saban years, we essentially had 3 of those. And we have 2 since 2011. So it's weird because there's a mix of who are we really in the SEC, along with we should also demand more out of our coach. So, look, I am of the belief that should Brian Kelly have said what he said at the Baton Rouge Rotary Club or wherever it was, maybe not. I would probably have not said that, but, at least it's a breath of fresh air. At least there's a coach out there that's not afraid to be bold. And Brian Kelly is certainly not afraid to be bold. Okay? I do think Brian Kelly is very confident in this roster. And I will also say that he was not confident in the past couple of rosters, the same way he's confident in it right now. So there you go. But yeah, I hate starting off with a curse word. It's also funny because we're bringing on some potential. I say potential. We are bringing on some partners pretty soon, and I probably should, because they're watching my shows, and I probably shouldn't have said a word that might get my channel demonetized. But I speak from the heart. I speak from the soul. Sometimes it'll get you in trouble. Tell the kiddies to put their earmuffs on, for goodness sakes. I wouldn't do it on a Wednesday. Thursdays, yes. So Jack Pyburn on Tuesday, and Andy Staples makes his return on Wednesday. Really excited about that. Okay. Let's go to Sibley. He says, I do not think that Brian Kelly is under pressure. He has finally learned that you cannot play with Notre Dame type players in the SEC. He has to have the horses to compete. Keep talking, BK. I am impressed. Let's go to Go Hard or Go Home. Why should any fan have faith in him to win it all, compete for a natty? Well, he's been to the natty a few times. He's been to the college football playoff. He went to an SEC championship game. And at the same time, there have been worse coaches who have actually won the national championship, not only at LSU, but not at LSU. So I think all of that needs to be kept in mind. I will say, and it is funny because after the Florida State game, a friend of the channel went on an ESPN channel. All right, Van, a lot of you know Van, and he went on Dominique Foxworth's show, and he mentioned yours truly. Now, I was honored anytime. I'm not some big YouTuber or anything like that, but anytime my analysis gets brought up, it does mean a lot, and that's great. He brought up something that I am very passionate about when it comes to football games. And we talked about this, I think, on Tuesday night about blowouts. We as a team, as in LSU, we have had a lot of close game luck. Honestly, an absurd amount of close game luck. Now, what is close game luck? Well, a lot of college football games are close, and a lot of college football games are also blowouts. Obviously, there's more close games in the NFL compared to college and high school, but close game luck is basically you getting more lucky breaks to win games compared to losing them. And there have been quite a few games that LSU has won during the Brian Kelly era that I think a lot of us would say LSU had no business winning, or they had a lot of things go their way, or they did not perform to the standard that they should have, but they were still able to win that game. There's a lot that come up in 2022, and in particular, there are a lot of these in 2024. A lot of these close wins that you probably should not have won. There have been quite a few ridiculously, I guess you could say, LSU has been a good comeback team during Brian Kelly's era. In other words, we have started slow quite a bit, and we have got to not start slow. Last year, I felt we were in that department, not as bad as we were in particular in 2022. But, there's some things that we need to get better at. And the sign of a team that's not getting all that well prepared is a team that's getting blown out with what LSU has in their stable when it comes to talent. Now, that kind of excludes last year because I do feel, and there's plenty of receipts regarding this, we did lack we did lack talent last year, as crazy as that sounds, especially after the Dellinger injury and so on and so on. But I want this to be clear. I think Brian Kelly's done a mostly fine job as the LSU head coach. But the blowouts are really tough to swallow. They really, really, really are. Obviously, Florida last year was not a blowout, but the Alabama game cut deep. Texas A&M, I don't know how that game became out of reach, essentially, but it did. And a lot of that obviously was not BK, but it happened. Okay, I don't like getting blown out. I don't. Tennessee came in, blew us out. That was obviously in 2022, but it's a sample. And then, of course, that Florida State game was the one that Van was referencing when he was on the Fox Source show. Well, in retrospect, that one wasn't too bad because that was Florida State's best team outside of the Jameis team of the past 20 years. Okay. Billy, thank you for the super chat. We really appreciate you, Billy. Be rad. And Billy, you get to pick the next topic. I do love I've always, and I'm not just saying that because you donated, I've always loved the name Billy Williams. Because isn't William and Bill, isn't Bill short for Will or Billiam? I think a more interesting name would be Billiam Will. Oh, Billy, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I just think LSU should never get blown out outside of like maybe once or twice a year. 2022 Alabama, okay. That team was an all-time great team, if you ask me. Towards the end of that year, that offense is one of the 10 or so best college football offenses I've ever seen. Let's go to Brian. He says, roster-wise, I compare this team's offensive personnel to the 05-06 Jamarcus Russell squad. Defensively, not really sure. Yeah. You know what? One undertold thing about LSU history is how many of these really, really, really good teams that weren't quite national championship teams. I go back to when Justin Vincent was on here a few years ago. He told those Pete Rose and Troy Polamalu stories that were so great. But Justin Vincent said he felt the 06 team was better than the 07 national championship team. And that sounds silly, but you can definitely make a strong case. Like, how much better was that Notre Dame team that LSU beat? Like, how much better was the Ohio State team the next year that won the Natty? with Tommy Brockman at quarterback, how much better were they than Jeff Samardzija and Brady Quinn? I was at both games. That Ohio State team was better, but still. B-Rad wants to talk some LSU running back. And Billy's super chat. Any question you want, Billy, we'll go. B-Rad wants to talk LSU running back. So had a viral thing, what I said earlier about Kaden Durham. And I want to share with you how I come up with like video ideas, how I come with the thumbnail. So we actually had a huge Kaden Durham show planned for a guy that interviewed Kaden Durham, Chris Gordy. All right, so we canceled that because Tyrann Mathieu announced his retirement, and we dedicated the whole show talking about Tyrann Mathieu. And then Chris Gordy still came on. And then yesterday we had Chris Marler, and we'll have Chris Phillips on here in a minute. I wanted to do a thing on Kaden Durham, and I'll save some of the deeper analytical findings. It wasn't like anything too deep, but I referenced it briefly on Blake's show, and I'll reference it briefly here. Okay. Kaden Durham's efficiency last year in both the run and the pass game put him at about a 13% chance to be a round 1 NFL draft running back. Now, that may not sound like amazing, like 13% round 1, but how many running backs go in the first round? Not many. Normally, roughly like 2. And what he put up last year, and we'll dive a little bit deeper into this next week, maybe Sunday night. We'll see. 63%. The numbers he put up, efficiency-wise, per touch, per route, per run, per play, a 63% chance that he is a round 3 selection. Now, really think about all the great running backs in the NFL who have been selected in round 3. Obviously, there's quite a few that are nearing the end of their careers. Alvin Kamara is one of them. But that is saying something. It really is. So I understand, like I've always been just super high on Kaden Durham. The things I thought were going to be learning curves for him, almost every one of them was debunked outside of pass protection. And there's not many freshman running backs who are good at pass protection. So Kaden Durham is just going to be amazing. All right, so let's talk about Alex Atkins. This is a very good super chat. We really appreciate you. Go hard or go home. I will say this. There wasn't a whole lot of talk necessarily from like Brian Kelly because he wasn't really asked about it. But there has been a lot of Alex Atkins talk on our channel. All right. We did a lot of spring Alex Atkins breakdowns. In fact, we included a video seminar he gave while he was at Florida State to really show you what he could bring to this LSU rushing attack. So will he implement his run scheme, or is it just a title? All right. So let's talk about run game and what's really important when it comes to running the football. Obviously, LSU had really good offensive linemen last year because they had 4 selected in the NFL draft. So that means that they were really, really, really good players, right? Well, not necessarily. You know, there are some players that get selected based on their body type and physical potential. You won't really find a guy that was higher on Emory Jones than me because I had a higher grade on him than Will Campbell coming into LSU. I thought he was that physically gifted, but I had him more as like a guard type. And I'll be honest, Emory Jones just did not have a great year last year. It just did not happen. Guys have down years. Obviously, the first 2 years were pretty good. But for whatever reason, the year just wasn't his best. Now, it wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but physically, He is built in a lab to play offensive line at the collegiate level. So, yes, we had 4 guys selected in the NFL draft. Garrett Dellinger got hurt at the end of the year. Miles Frazier was hit or miss. He struggled versus the better guys. But last year was mostly fine, and then Will was Will, as we all know. So, am I concerned about rush scheme and all of that? Yes. But I do think Josh Thompson in particular is going to get our counter run game going. I really do think so. And Alex Atkins' specialty is the counter run scheme, which was run religiously at Florida State. So what does that mean exactly? Well, we tried to run counter last year. And last Thursday, we had Max Toscano on. He is a film savant. I do film study. He does film study. And we broke down a few LSU counter runs on here. And counter is something that you do need to practice and you do need to rep. I can tell you that LSU did spend a decent amount of time, at the very least during spring, repping counter. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to be LSU's best run play or their go-to run play. But no matter if it is or it isn't, they just need to find a running play that they are good at. That's basically it. Can you find your go-to scheme? If it's counter, let's do it. If it's duo, let's do it. If it's inside zone, let's do it. If it's outside zone, let's do it. We tried all of it basically last year. Now, I am not the best at identifying inside zone versus duo. So it's a lot of people struggle with determining which is which. You also kind of need to know the play call to know a gazillion percent, unless you really, really, really know ball. I like to think my ball knowledge is very good. But whether it's inside zone or duo, I like duo. I've gone back and forth between, if I was an OC, I would want to base everything out of outside zone. But for LSU, I just don't think you can do that unless you want to go under center. That's a big caveat for me in outside zone run schemes. I think in shotgun, 2019 LSU was a duo scheme attack. Now, how can you tell? Well, go watch the games and you'll see Clyde Edwards-Helaire run duo as good as any college running back you'll ever see. Now, why was he so good at doing it? Well, Clyde was a really good reader of the second level of the defense, and you'll see a lot of runs where it looks like the offensive line wasn't blocking the absolute best, but they were doing their jobs, and they were trusting Clyde to jump cut out of really difficult spots, which he did consistently. That was the Alabama game and the Florida game in particular. I love duo. Dude, duo, when it's run well, it's a beautiful thing. But counter is probably the most aesthetically pleasing. It's the Mona Lisa of run plays. It's so gorgeous to watch unfold. Jamie, I got to send you a Joe Burrow card in the mail. I've not mailed it. I'm sorry. It's on me. And Jamie, if you prefer another player, I will. Thank you so much for joining the PHL Patreon. And we do have a wonderful guest lined up right after this. This man has built an SEC behemoth. And we're going to ask him a very important question as far as which is the best college football experience in the SEC. Let's go.
Let's go. go.
On a journey together with Zion Imaging. I want you to see this experience up close. And me as a wedding and event DJ, I watched how everybody had so much fun with Zion Imaging. And a big reason for their success is the team. Yes, Jaron Thomas and his family started this off as a passion project, and they have one simple goal in mind: taking your event to the next level. Whether it's a wedding, reunion, quinceañera, school, or corporate event, Zion Imaging is all about family-friendly fun. And I gotta show you on this tour the high-level technology that quickly sends your video session to your phone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Yes, it's the Zion Imaging 360 spin booth experience, serving North Texas, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, Orlando, and more. Give us a call, 318-469-4265. Check us out on Facebook or book us at Zion Imaging, XYANimaging.com. Special shout out to Jaron Thomas and the team. So, Chris Phillips, the best SEC football stadium experience for you has been what?
Put me on the spot immediately. I mean, I got to go LSU, man. And it's not because I'm on this program either. Going back to last season and looking forward to getting back on the road this season. We'll do it again, 15 straight weeks. We've only announced week 1, obviously, but planning on hitting almost every single one of the SEC venues. Man, I go back to last season. That night game at Death Valley, LSU Ole Miss, there was just nothing like that. And really, it was the whole weekend. I think that, you know, when I talked best overall experience, I really tried to encapsulate everything from the time I got there to the time we left. It wasn't just the game. It wasn't just the tailgate. It wasn't just, you know, the festivities, whatever. It was kind of everything encapsulated. And LSU just beginning to end, man. I mean, I tell people all the time, there's just nothing like Baton Rouge. There's nothing like LSU. There's nothing like the state of Louisiana. It's a one of one to the point, Carter, where it feels almost unfair to compare it to the standard SEC experience. So, yeah, I'd give it to LSU. I mean, I think you could argue it wasn't the best game I saw. Maybe I was at Bama, Georgia. That was probably one of the wackiest college football games I've ever seen, and I experienced some big-time atmospheres. But LSU overall, there's just nothing like it, man. It's hard to put into words. So I'm looking forward to getting back and getting another night game at Death Valley under my belt.
You put a lot of sweat equity in building SEC Unfiltered, and we'll talk like actual football here in a moment. But I want your expertise on something that I've gotten asked quite a bit because I don't go to nearly as many games as you do. And I want people to know that not only do you do it for football, you do it for baseball as well. You go, you travel, and it's different because my pro sports people that cover pro sports teams, it's easier to travel to these cities because of airports and hotels and all of that. You go to all these college towns. So I'm going to give you the floor. What are some travel tips for people that actually want to go to Columbia, Missouri, which is a nightmare to get to? What would you say to people as far as their travel is concerned?
Yeah, so Carter, I'll also put this out there, and some of these I'll knock out this year. There's 4 that I have not been to yet in any capacity. So Columbia, Missouri is one of them, Norman, Oklahoma, Lexington, Kentucky, and Starkville, Mississippi. I know for a fact we're going to be knocking out at least 2 of those this season. I feel really confident. The other 2, TBD, we might be waiting till basketball or baseball season. Okay. As far as travel tips, so my tips are going to be a little bit different this year than they would have been this time last year because I now live in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's going to make it a lot easier to get to all these places, which is one of the biggest reasons that I moved here. Last year I was in Greenville, South Carolina, so it made it even more difficult because I was close to a few spots, but not really more than that, not really more than a handful. Now living in Nashville, I mean, you know, man, if you look at the map, I'm right in the middle of it, right in the Mecca. Got a great airport. I'll be able to kind of bounce around. I'll be able to drive to most of them if I want to. So my advice, though, if you're going to do it, get a business partner. That helps. Our friends over at, shout out to Prize Picks last year, who was our partner for the tour. And this year we've got a FanDuel and Game Time both backing us. And we're actually looking right now, we're going to be adding a couple more partners early August that are going to help us with our travels, tailgating, all that good stuff. So some big news, big announcements in the works. But yeah, I would say try to get in as early as you can and just, dude, have as much fun as possible. I mean, it's last year. That'll be the biggest difference with the tour between this year and last year is last year I got into a lot of spots on like Fridays. And it was, by the way, the tour was magical. I couldn't have scripted it. I couldn't have written that story. I mean, I rushed the field 4 times last year. I saw so many down to the wire, just crazy games. Made so many memories, met so many great people, made friendships that'll last forever, made connections that, we'll be able to run back forever this season, beyond that. But this season, I'm really excited to get in town a little bit earlier. So it doesn't feel like you're quite drinking water out of fire hose. Because, man, like you get in town on a Friday in a big football weekend, it's kind of hard to bounce around and see a bunch of different stuff.
Yes,
there's so much coming at you, because especially once game day hits. I mean, it's just an all out, it's nonstop. So,
and particularly if it's an 11 a.m. game.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. I try to avoid those as much as I possibly can. Obviously, week 1 this year will be at Texas, Ohio State. That's big noon kickoff. So we'll have to deal with the noon kick. But yeah, I try to find at minimum afternoon games or night games just for the atmosphere. Right? I mean, that's
right, of course, yeah.
The whole thing. That's what really makes the vlog pop is, a great atmosphere. And, admittedly, it helps when the home team wins. It makes the vlog that much more enjoyable for the fan bases that are most gravitating towards it. But yeah, my advice would be, man, I mean, definitely try to map it out. If you're going to do the whole season, if you were just going to do like I'm doing and go to a different game, really, I come up with kind of a rough draft before the season. There's some weeks I feel really, really good about which game I'm going to. There's some weeks it's a little bit more up in the air because of just, you never know in week 10, what may have looked like a great matchup is no longer a really good matchup because some teams disappoint, some exceed expectations. So, I keep the schedule as loose as I possibly can. I don't book a bunch of stuff ahead. I don't, maybe I should, but I keep a lot of that open. And again, I'm very blessed and grateful for, like I said, I've got these business partners backing me to where, I know for the common person, it would be really, really difficult to, just from a cost perspective, get on the road.
Yeah, but I'm sure you also like I'm talking about as far as like hotels or
oh yeah. No, I mean so it's not to get into too much detail on it, but it's not like I'm expense reporting everything to my business partners. They, and they compensate us well to do this tour, but it's up to me to budget everything, obviously. So, you come out of pocket for stuff, but yeah, try to get in as early as you can. I mean, have as much fun, do as much as you can, interact with the locals, right, and engage with the local folks because everybody's really nice. And keep it. I would say this: my biggest piece of advice to somebody, if you're an SEC football fan and you want to do this, just keep an open mind. I think I did a really good job last season of I never was comparing the next trip to the last one, or I wasn't comparing the next stadium to the last stadium, or to like if you can really just go into it and appreciate every single experience for what it is, it's going to make it so much more enjoyable. Like even when I went to, the most popular question, Carter, I got asked, which I guess is just it's human nature that we want to go to the negative. It was, man, what's the worst place you've been? Like, what was the worst experience you had? And I'm like, man, like, it sounds like a cop-out, maybe sounds even a little bit corny, but I'm like, none of them. Like, they were all unique in their own way. Like, even Vandy was so much fun, the people I hung out with. And, like, was it the most electric SEC atmosphere? Obviously, it was not. But, like, it was cool in its own way. Fayetteville, Arkansas, I thought was really underrated. Like, but that's why I didn't like power rank them because I didn't want the people, that I interacted with and hung out with and these fan bases to feel like I was, poo-pooing on them in any way or saying that it wasn't a great experience. They're all just really, truly unique.
You got to remain political. You got.
Well, I mean, it's what makes it cool though, man. Like they're all different. Not everybody's LSU, right? Not everybody's Neyland. Not everybody's the Swamp. Like, there's a lot of every place has like its own unique culture and its traditions and just things that make them tick. So if you can keep an open mind and not, because I feel like as fans, we kind of let our biases ruin some things. Like we just can't see stuff for what it is and just appreciate it. Like if you really love college football, just being able to appreciate like, hey, LSU fans, even if you go to Kyle Field and College Station, I know they're a little off, they're a little weird, but you just go and appreciate it for what it is. And like, man, this is just one of those things that makes college football unique and makes it special is some of these out there traditions. So I got to experience a lot of those, and it was really, really cool. And I mean, again, I can't wait to do it again.
Your SEC predicted order of finish that you voted for at Media Days was what?
So my top 4 specifically, and I can pull up the rest. I think I can recite most by order, but I had Bama number 1, Texas number 2, Bama, Texas in the SEC title. I had Texas hoisting the hardware. I had Georgia 3, LSU 4, and I have those top 4 making the college football playoff. And I think the top 4 is going to be some. And I say this, I'm fairly confident, but after last season, Carter, I'm very hesitant to be super confident because I will not be surprised if and when chaos strikes. I think about this time last year, there were so many things that we thought as fact. Like Ole Miss going to the playoff was fact this time. It wasn't opinion, it was fact they were going to go. Like if I'd have told you LSU would have gone 8-4, you'd have thought I was crazy, right? And sure enough, it happened. So you just never know, but I think it's going to be some. You could convince me LSU goes 11-1. You could convince me Georgia goes 11-1. Texas, Bama, same thing. I don't think anybody in the SEC is going undefeated. I just think it's too difficult. The conference is a gauntlet, and I think for what we saw last year, there'll be more of the same in regards to chaos. So that was my top 4, and I think all 4 of those will go to the college football playoff. I had Florida in the 5 spot. I think the Gators, I'm a believer in Florida. I was actually really surprised at SEC Media Days how many people are not believers in Florida. I think there's a lot. And I get it. Like, listen, DJ Lagway wasn't perfect, but I like his game a lot. I love what they have in the front 7. I love the offensive line. So I think there's a lot to like about them. I had Ole Miss 6, A&M 7, South Carolina 8, Mizzou 9, Oklahoma 10, Tennessee 11, Vandy 12, Auburn 13, Arkansas 14, Kentucky 15, and Mississippi State 16. So, I think really here's the thing, Carter. 5 through 11, 5 through 12, you could argue. I think you could jumble those up nearly any which way. I mean, I really do. I just it's beyond. I feel like the tiers in the SEC, you've got those top 4, and then there's a gap, and then 5 through 12, 5 through 11 could really finish in any order, right? I mean, it's. But I like Florida as a college football playoff dark horse. I like Ole Miss with Austin. I'm really big on Austin Simmons. For them, it'll be defensively right after what they lost so much. Can they replace it? But I like Ole Miss a lot with Austin Simmons at quarterback. I'm hesitant to buy into A&M. You might have seen yesterday I was picking on my guy J.D. Piquel a little bit because it's just. I mean, time and time again, it's a tale as old as time. The media is hyping up Texas A&M. Yeah. And to be fair, I don't even think A&M fans want it at this point.
No, they don't.
And I've been there. I've been there. I had Texas A&M winning 10 games 2 years ago, and it burnt me. And I think I made a promise to myself that I just wouldn't do it. And I just want to see it. Like, I think A&M could absolutely go 8-4. I mean, I know the jokes will be incoming by me saying that. It's typically what they do, but they've got a lot of talent. There's a lot of reasons to like their roster. South Carolina is one that I had lower than the media projected finish. They had South Carolina 5th. I had the Gamecocks 8th.
And you're a South Carolina guy.
It's a long story, Carter. We can talk about it off air. It's a long story.
You lived there and you did South Carolina content.
Yeah, I know, but it's a long story. I was born and raised a South Carolina fan. I will just say that when you get into the business side and you see how the sauce is made and you deal with some things directly with from the business perspective, it can change your feelings on some things. So I'll just leave it at that.
You have beef with the Gamecocks? Is that it?
I don't have beef. No, I don't have beef, but I'm a product of my again, we'll have to talk about it off air. There's some things I know there's some things I can't say on air and I won't say on air, but listen, I wish the Gamecocks but the best, but I'm as unbiased as it gets, truly. So, I've had this conversation with many people. So
no. I will tell you this. I did radio in Greenville for a while, but I did it from here. And I love the people there.
Yeah.
That's why when you said you moved from Greenville, I'm like, Greenville's awesome.
Yeah. I was in Malden specifically. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So then you go to Nashville. And it's interesting how I feel about South Carolina, because I keep going back to, like, Dow Loggins did some really good things with them. right? And Sellers is an interesting quarterback that you have to work with. And a lot of people don't get this, Chris, is that they did not have elite wide receivers, but they made it work, right? So let me ask you this. Did you have Nuss's first team all SEC QB over Sellers?
I did. Yeah, and I
Okay,
was
good.
I was surprised. I was surprised the media anointed Sellers first team. Not because you could convince me. It's not because he's not worthy of that, or certainly doesn't have the skill set and the talent to be, considered for it. I'll be honest with you. Over the years, Carter, I'm sure you've seen like South Carolina typically doesn't get a lot of love from the media. So
They don't.
I was very. Tell me the last time South Carolina had a preseason first team all conference quarterback. I don't know that they ever have.
I doubt it.
I don't think they ever have. Even going back to the days of Connor Shaw, certainly Rattler wasn't. I think Tannehill back in the 90s was second team. I don't think they've ever had one. So it really tells you what people think about Lenoris Sellers. But, yeah, I had Nussmeier one. And Garrett's a guy that he scares me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I've equated him to the pitcher that throws 100 miles an hour that has great stuff, but at times has no clue where it's going. So when it's good, it's really, really good. And when he's off, it can get a little scary. That's the big question for Garrett Nussmeier. Did he raise the floor from last year? Because, if he did, if he cut the turnovers in half, I think he could end up in New York. I think he's got that type of ability, and certainly he's got those type of weapons around him. And, I think a big part of it, too, we put so much of it on Garrett. It's really easy to blame him. But, his attempts per game was one of the highest, certainly in the conference, I think, in all of college football. And why was that? They couldn't run the ball, man. So if he's got just a decent running game to complement him, I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. And certainly it's going to make that – I don't think he's going to feel like he's got to play hero ball as much, and it's going to make them less predictable offensively. But, yeah, again, I had Garrett number one. There's certain plays that we can't get out of our heads with certain guys. And I was at that Ole Miss game in that end zone when he made that throw to Aaron Anderson to tie the game. And it's like it's a big boy throw. That's a big time play. And it goes certainly beyond that. But yeah, I think Nuss has got the potential to, I don't know if I'll go as far as what Brian Kelly said and say he's going to make that second year Jaden Daniels jump. I think that's putting some pretty wild expectations on him, but he can make a jump, no doubt. He can be a first rounder. He's that type of talent. So, love what he does as a passer. And I think if they can complement him with a run game, I think you will see him make a pretty big strides and just cutting down the turnovers. That's the big thing. But he was my number one quarterback going in.
Which LSU game are you attending this year?
So everybody wants me to spoil it. That's okay. Right now, the one circle that I would say I feel 99% confident I'll be at is the LSU A&M game.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, but I'll be seeing LSU on the road as well. So yeah, again, it's subject to change, right? Beyond week one, I don't know where I'm going, but LSU A&M is the game in Baton Rouge that I was planning on going to, and then for my Tuscaloosa trip, Alabama LSU. That's just.
Yeah.
Gotta happen. Just like, I went Bama, Georgia last year. That was my first time ever in Tuscaloosa. I was like, how am I ever going to top that? And so I looked at the schedule this year and said, well, I don't know if it'll top it, but it'll probably give it a run for its money. Bama, LSU, when does it not deliver? You know what I mean? So that's one that's, I'm excited to see. Outside of that, I'm trying to think. I think those might be the only two games involving LSU. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. So, yeah, that A&M game is the Baton Rouge, at least planned right now. You never know if A&M were to crap the bed or something and the game doesn't look as good anymore, we could adjust. But Baton Rouge is one of those trips, Carter, that I got to make it on a yearly basis. It's a can't skip for me. There's a couple can't skips in the league. Because there are some years I'm just going to have to not be able to go to some places. LSU's one I got to get to every year. I got too many of my couillons down there. Too many good relationships. That I've made, certainly in the trip in Omaha, and also too. It's interesting, man. I may or may not. I think I've got some good voodoo going with LSU because last year Ole Miss football game, LSU wins. Tennessee baseball series, LSU wins. College World Series, they win the national title. So
you did a show from Rocco's.
We did a show from Rocco's. We did a show from Blatt. We did a show. We did a show from Dat Bingle Bus. Shout out to Dat Bingle Bus.
Right,
LSU, greatest LSU tailgate of all time.
Yeah. It's weird because really briefly here, I wanted to ask you about college baseball. Because you like college baseball as much as college football, right?
I love it.
Yeah. So you went to like 1,000 weekend series, and then you go to Omaha. How big do you think college baseball can actually be, right? Because to me, it's I've always brought up that ESPN has a heavy incentive to push it because they basically own the sport. Outside of a couple crappy D1 baseball streams, people go to ESPN and watch their I mean, the stream didn't work. Our mutual friend Daily Joy saved us all.
Yeah. And she got a lot of love in Omaha from the LSU faithful for that. So and deservedly so.
But it's crazy to me because like I keep telling myself, because I'm not as big of a college baseball guy as you or Blake or a lot of my viewers, but I do like it. I think it's the best postseason format that we have in all the college sports. So do you think college baseball can actually like get close to like college basketball, or am I, speaking out of sports here?
I think it can, yeah. I mean, it'll never overtake college football, obviously. That's the king. Yeah, I think it can rival college basketball. I mean, the thing that keeps college basketball, I think, separates it is you mentioned the college baseball postseason. Obviously, March Madness is just unparalleled as there's just nothing like March Madness. But here's the way I'll put it, Carter. I mean, I do think I don't know that I'd even put a ceiling on it necessarily. The thing with college baseball is I don't know that you'll ever have, because baseball's so niche. You can't make people like baseball. And I don't like, we've seen it in professional baseball, and it's kind of bled down to college where we're making rule changes for people that don't like baseball. They never will, So like, why do we keep trying to cater to people that aren't baseball fans, right? It's okay if you're not a baseball fan, but let's stop trying to, turn, and with all due respect to them, let's stop trying to turn our game into the Savannah Bananas. Like, it's not.
I knew you were gonna go bananas.
It's not. They're not. Like listen, I'm not a hater. I'm not a bananas hater, but I actually like the sport of baseball, Carter. So the bananas don't really attract me like that. Respectfully, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyways, but here's what I'll say is this. I don't know that the amount of people that consume baseball, follow baseball, engage with baseball, and I see my guy and your friend, our mutual friend, Blake Ruffino in here, who has a lot of success with his baseball content. I think he'd tell you the same thing. The number of people that tune in and engage and consume college baseball, I don't know if that number will ever match how many follow and engage with college basketball. But the people that follow college baseball, Carter, they are diehards.
Yeah.
Like, they live it, breathe it, sleep it, eat it, everything. And I think so that's why, you're able to execute content and it be really, really successful. That's why you're able to draw the viewership numbers you do for the postseason, for the College World Series, because you don't just passively watch this game. Like, if you really love this game and it gets into your blood, like, you can't quit this game. So, I don't know. It's kind of tough to answer because I do think that there's still a lot of room for growth for the sport. I think people like myself, like Blake, like so many others that cover the sport passionately are helping grow the game, no doubt. I mean, we've seen over the last decade just how much the strides it's made. So, yeah, I'm excited for where college, but there's still so much room, right? Like you said,
I keep going back to that.
We've got these tournaments early in the season that deserve a cable network, deserve a 4-letter network, deserve a stream that actually works.
It works.
No shade thrown, but deserve a stream that works.
No shade.
We can't even get that. So, I mean,
get a damn stream.
We've still got a long, long way to go. And I don't know who it's going to be, who's going to step up to the plate, no pun intended, and carry the baton and be the next generation of bringing more attention to the sport. But there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of pieces of it where it's an untapped market. And I think, again, a lot of the opportunity comes from the fact that while the numbers may not be as high, you're smaller in numbers, but those few in numbers are as passionate as any you'll find across any sport.
Yeah, I just keep going back to like the regional, super regional, how they have it all set up.
So, dude,
There's nothing like there's nothing like
squeeze
it.
play is incredible.
Oh,
They need like a red zone for SEC football. I
that
think
would
on
be nice.
SEC Network they should do like a red zone essentially.
Well, here's my bold prediction with that is, I think when you go to 9 conference games, you'll have more games that are red zonable, if that makes sense, right?
Or
Because
maybe when ESPN buys a red zone, if and when that happens.
well, it seems inevitable
Right.
at
Right.
this point. For those who didn't see, the NFL might be owned by ESPN. Well, not owned by ESPN, but the media side of it could
Yeah.
be. Last one before we skedaddle. Your SEC, you've already given your predictions and all of it. What really stands out to you as far as like the big story? Is it the future of the playoff format? Is it NIL? What's the one thing that when you go to bed at night that you are concerned about when it comes to the future of college football, the SEC as a whole?
Well, Carter, I can tell you this. The thing that I do not have on my mind when I go to bed at night is 5 plus 11, 4 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus blah, 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 AQ, people's NIL contract. I know all those things are really important, Carter, but I got to be honest with you. I miss the days when we spent the offseason actually talking about football.
Look at you.
I'm
knew I'd
just
like you.
listen,
I
I got to be totally honest.
Huh?
I did not get into this I don't want to be the guy that fixes college football. I just want to be the fan that talks about it and predicts the games and talks key matchups and talks keys of the game and talks depth charts. And I just, and maybe that's an indictment on me because we're SEC Unfiltered and we do have a voice. And I mean, I will discuss it. Don't get me wrong. And I think there's a lot obvious, but I'd like to think there are people in positions of power that are much smarter than I am that are making these decisions. But unfortunately, on a daily basis, I think we're proven wrong to that school of thinking, that maybe these people behind the scenes, they don't really know much more than we do. So, I don't know. Where do you start? Where do you start when it comes to fixing college football? The thing, I mean, I think it's very obvious that the 5 plus 11 model, the AQ model is just flat out absurd. It's ridiculous. The 4 plus 4 thing. I think you go 5 plus 11. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like if you're going to expand, go to the 16, 5 plus 11, the 5 conference champions, 11 at large. I don't really see an issue with that. I think that's valid. I think that's fair. I just wonder, I guess the thing that would keep you up at night about the future of college football, where does it stop?
Oh, it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. Where do we go to 32? Is it going to be like FCS? Like an FCS?
No, your guy Drink. There's not a bigger Drink fan than you. Drink's going to get his 30-team format.
That was Looney Tunes chatter by him. That was Looney Tunes talk. And then he's sitting here playing, well, no, I don't mean a 30-team playoff. I just mean we have play-in games in a 16. I'm like, can somebody explain to me the difference between play-in games and a playoff? What is the difference?
There is none.
It's the same thing. It's part of I feel like he's like, you're talking to me like I'm dumb. Like you're pissing on my head and telling me it's raining. Like, please don't insult our intelligence. So, but Carter, on the football note, the storyline that I've been thinking about for months and I'll continue to, and I'm most fascinated by, I just think it's all these contenders with these new signal callers. I mean, I know it's the low hanging fruit because, we love to talk quarterbacks, but it is fascinating. It's what do we not know about these guys? Right?
Well, it's fascinating because you pick Alabama to win it.
Yeah.
And
they have Ty Simpson. I mean, it's
so
valid.
So
one of them, I mean, a few of them have to pop. They're not all going to stink, right? Like, I mean, I feel really confident Arch Manning is going to be, is he going to win the Heisman? He's the favorite. I don't know if you saw that card. He's the favorite now in Vegas. Do I think he's going to win the Heisman? I don't know if I'll go that far. If you're the favorite, I'd probably go as far as say you won't. But I think he's going to be really good. He's surrounded by, Ty Simpson. I think he's going to be an upgrade from Jalen Milroe. I think he's a much better fit for what DeBoer and Ryan Grubb want to do. Yeah. And he's also got talent all around him. Offensive line, I'm a little bit concerned about, but they are just loaded at the skill positions. I mean, there's few rosters in the SEC, I don't think most coaches wouldn't trade their rosters for Alabama's outside of maybe the quarterback position. But, I mean, outside of that, man, like, DJ Lagway's now your full-time QB1. You got Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, a guy I'm really high on. John Mateer at Oklahoma. What does he look like in the SEC? You've got Jackson Arnold, who's now at Auburn. They're a fascinating story. Bo Prabula's over at Missouri. I feel like there's even a couple I'm forgetting. Like, there's just so many of these new quarterbacks, these new signal callers. I think it could lead to even more chaos. I really do. I really do. I think because, a lot of guys, a lot of talent, but when it's your first go-around, a lot of times there's some inconsistencies as well. So, Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. My goodness, that just almost blanked on that.
I was waiting on it.
Right. Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. I mean, that's another huge one. So, it made it really difficult to do the quarterback rankings, admittedly, because you have guys like Ty Simpson so low and Gunnar Stockton so low. And, my rankings were not projections where I thought they'd finish. They were exactly like where I see them at today. But, yeah, it's going to make for a wacky year, man. But, again, I know you're an LSU guy. We're on an LSU show. Should give LSU a lot of confidence. I mean, we're talking about like those top four in that top tier. Texas, new quarterback. Bama, new quarterback. Georgia, new quarterback. What do you have? Your guy's back. So that should give you a lot of confidence. It should. I think if Nuss can take that next step forward, I mean, let's face it, Carter. I know we didn't spend a ton of time talking about it at this point, but it's about as do or die for Mr. Brian Kelly as it's been since he's been in Baton Rouge. And he's been writing a lot of checks, Carter, about, he did the whole judge me in year 3 thing. And I'm not going to go in like our friend Daily Joy did, because she came on here and ripped Brian Kelly a new asshole. So, and I know it wasn't a popular take. And I think BK is a good coach. I really do.
Yeah.
He's been – I kind of want to get your take on this. Like the Death Valley Jr. thing. Does he at times just kind of come off like he's just trying too hard? Like, he tries too hard. I'm like, you didn't need to say that. Like,
I like the confidence. I do in comparison to Lincoln Riley being a baby back biatch about everything he said. I'd say to his face, and every year he's complaining about something or trying to back out of something. So it's a breath of fresh air when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But the setting.
If you win, it doesn't matter. That's the key.
Right.
Like, but if you go lose another opener, and it's like, all right, I'm exhausted with this. Like, just shut up and go win games.
So sometimes Brian Kelly's political background will get into his speeches, and that was at like a Rotary type of setting, so you can get a little carried away, right? If you talk.
See, we didn't have all the cameras and social media like back when Spurrier was doing it. That's the difference.
Oh, dude, I've heard stories of like Spurrier's talks and jokes and quips, and
we only know the ones that like the reporters or the rumors or whatever actually got. I can't imagine all the stuff he said we don't know about.
Right. But yeah, he as someone who used to do stand up and would bomb religiously, he does try to be funny, right? Like going back to the Florida State execution thing and up to now, and the jokes don't land, right? And that's fine. I mean, I'm okay with it. But I was a little shocked at the Death Valley Junior thing. I was like, yeah, because everybody wants you to just win this damn season opener. I think LSU fans would trade an 8-4 season if it meant that you won the damn season opener. So that's
how bad they want that opener.
I've said that on other non like LSU shows. So,
well, good news is this, Carter. I think if they beat Clemson in the opener, I don't think they're going 8-4. So
and there's that as well.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, Chris. I've watched you. I've never met you before, but I've watched you from afar. Build what you've built. Safe travels to all your different destinations. Dave Shoemate, who's in your network, were friends before that. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to keep you on. We'll hopefully have you on again pretty soon, man.
Yeah, Carter, anytime, man. Like I said, I've been following you from afar as well. You do great work. Love the LSU community, the creator community, everybody in it.
No.
And yeah, appreciate you having our guy Dave on. I know last week he was on with you at we were at Media Day. So
Yeah,
let's definitely do it. Yeah, yeah.
I was shocked. I was like, man, because when I would go to media days, I would be like him. I would stay there till like 7 or 8 p.m. just in case I had the chance of interviewing like Paul Feinbaum or whatever. But if I had actually lived a life, I would have been out partying until to the wee hours. Is that what you were doing? Was that
we were out at the like media happy hour event thing, the Peach Bowl through a like a
yeah.
just a media event catered, open bar, so open bar food, everything. So yeah, they take care of you at media days. It's a pretty solid event.
No, it's insane.
Yeah, you get to mingle and interact with a lot of folks that you do work with in the space, and obviously like this digitally, you get to shake people's hand, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The networking is what you really get out of it. But yeah, we're grinders, man. We love to get after it. So anytime you want me to jump on, man, or have any of us on, we'd love to do it.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon, Chris. We'll see you.
Carter, you're the man. Appreciate it. We'll do it again soon.
Chris Phillips, check him out. SEC Unfiltered. Oh, come on, Jordan. That won't be released though, even if he was. But yeah, I've got, like I said, my feeling towards Brian Kelly saying the Death Valley Jr. thing is twofold, right? There's multiple sides of how I feel about it. I wouldn't have said it from an LSU perspective, putting more pressure and bulletin board material for Clemson and all of that, especially knowing that the thing that Dabo does best is motivate. And he's going to, when the cameras are off, going to mention that. But there's something about being confident. There's something about it that you must admire. Okay? Chance says beating Bama will be Brian Kelly's legacy. He's 1-2. Let's get another one. Thank God Mason Taylor caught that ball. Thank God. I saw Leon from the ACC was in here. Good to see him. Blake was in here. All right. Let me address this, and then we will skedaddle for the evening. Don't forget, I need everybody here. We'll be live again on Sunday beforehand, but Jack Pyburn, who I think will be LSU's best defensive player this year, will join us on Tuesday. I think it'll be him, Whit Weeks, Mansour Delane. I think those three will be the best on all three levels. Pick one player from each level. But I do think Jack's going to have a big year, right? He will join us. Really excited about that. His camp is also really excited about it as well. I did not seek out to do this. It was brought up. I'll tell the full story when Jack is with us. But really excited about that. Gotten to know him a little bit and his family and all of it. It's pretty cool. So, I try my best to, and if you really listen closely to our channels, our shows, when I'm on other channels and all of that, I try never to be too critical of a child, right? Now, these athletes are not childs or children, all right? They're not. But you do need to be held accountable for what you say. And the media needs to do a better job of holding people accountable. All right, here's a good example. Chris brought up Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe, last year at SEC Media Days, and this happens everywhere at SEC Media Days now, and every single media day. You get asked about your former teammates that transfer somewhere else. So you can, get a good quote or their perspective on someone that transferred out. And obviously the players are only going to say nice things about the players that transferred out. All right. Jalen Milroe was asked last year about Isaiah Bond, who transferred to Texas. And he said, Isaiah Bond, great player, team first guy. He cares more about his teammate. It was something like that. And I was like, no. He's not a team first guy. He was a pure cut starter for Alabama, and he went to Texas. It's impossible, really, in the transfer portal era to be fully team first because you're always going to go somewhere where you're going to play. All right. It doesn't necessarily mean you love or hate a school more or less when you make a decision that's best for you, and you should do that. But don't call someone a team first guy. Now, he might be a team first guy when he joins Texas, but he, in particular, his case. So, something's going on right now with Alabama again, but this time it's the quarterback that they will play in week 1, and Thomas Castellanos. It is so important when you get a quarterback that your quarterback has good character. It really, really, really does matter. I do not care about the other positions when it comes to that. I need a yes, sir, no, sir quarterback. I don't mind a little personality. But Castellanos is a mess. He is a mess. Quit on his team. They asked him, hey, why'd you leave Boston College? And he said, well, I didn't quit. I didn't get benched. That is exactly what happened. He quit the team when his eligibility was already burned up. When they said, hey, we're going to try a new QB. Castellanos was never a fit for Bill O'Brien's system. He's a better fit for Gus Malzahn. So there is a football side of this. He should have never stayed at Boston College. In particular, a quarterback, you need to be in the right scheme. You do. Okay? So Castellanos stuck it out. I give him credit, but for actually trying it at Boston College. He gets his ass benched, quits the team. And then Bill O'Brien says, no, we treated him well. He quit on us. And then Castellanos, well, I didn't quit. Then he is giving Alabama all this bulletin board material. It's one thing if Brian Kelly does it. He's the head coach. He's actually won something. He's actually been good at his job. Castellanos hasn't really been that good of a college quarterback. So now, Florida State, who was the worst team in college football last year, especially compared to expectations, he doubled down, which I guess I'm okay with. I don't know. He is a mess. He is an absolute mess. And that's why if you're the quarterback, I need you to be Lenore Sellers, DJ Lagway, Garrett Nussmeier at the podium. Pavia better watch out. Pavia's been a little cocky confident, but the difference between him and Castellanos is Pavia has been good. In fact, he's been better than any Vandy quarterback since Jay Cutler. Pat Shurmur be damned. Let's go to John Sibley Butler. This is my beef with all young Tiger fans who are still burping pet milk and throwing up baby food. Tommy Casanova was better than the Honey Badger and got national pub dominating his position. Just FYI. Not simply. You're giving me $20 US, which is a wonderful sum of money. I am very happy that you donated this to my cause. But unless it's a life-changing sum of money, I cannot agree with you. Now, if you had super chatted $1,000, then I would say, you know what? Tommy Casanova was not only better than Tyrann Mathieu, he was better than Tyrann Mathieu, Champ Bailey, and Charles Woodson combined. But your generosity is very well received. So I've watched some Tommy Casanova highlights. It's a little bit different, obviously. Haven't got any Tommy Casanova all 22. He's not better than Tyrann Mathieu. In fact, how many college DBs are better than Tyrann Mathieu? I think the hard thing about comparing Tyrann Mathieu to other college DBs is back when Casanova played, there wasn't as many nickel defenses. And Tyrann was basically his own thing. And it's interesting because if you listen to like guys like Brandon Taylor talk about the defense, he talked about how they were so in tune with each other that sometimes they just freelanced it back there as long as they stayed within a decent structure. And Tyrann Mathieu was in a perfect system. John Chavis doesn't get enough credit for what he did with Tyrann and Ron Brooks and so on and so on. But the truth still remains the same. That I don't know many college football players at LSU who had a better season than Tyrann Mathieu did in 2011. And I can also go so far as saying I don't know how many LSU Tigers had a better 2-year stretch than Tyrann Mathieu did at LSU. I really don't. Like, how many? You could make really like Devin White, 2017, 2018, you could make a strong case. Malik Neighbors, 2022 and 2023, you can make a strong case. Joe Burrow, 2018 and 2019, even though the 2018 wasn't elite. I'm talking about 2 back-to-back elite seasons. Tyrann probably still wins that crown because his 2010 is still underrated, and then obviously 2011 is what he's always going to be known for. So, yes, Tommy Casanova was great. It's not easy to have your number posted up in Tiger Stadium. But was Tommy Casanova better than Tyrann Mathieu? I don't know. Kidding, I do know. It is 2 different eras, though. And I think if Tyrann was sitting right here, he wouldn't give an answer. I think he would pay his respects to Casanova. And look, I always say this. Tyrann's peak was better than that of Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson's career was definitely better than that of Tyrann Mathieu's. But, you know, it's crazy that they were back-to-back. It really is. It really, really, really is. I will take a few more. Chance says, I attended Oklahoma for 1 semester. It was paid for by the military, but it was a spring semester. If there was one LSU game I wanted to go to this year, it would be Norman. I've always wanted to go to Norman because you got to think for us in the mid 30s, for us in our mid 30s, we grew up with Oklahoma being arguably the most consistently good team, as in they didn't have like bad years. Those Bob Stoops team, I just grew up watching Sam Bradford, all those guys, Josh Heupel. I've always wanted to go to Norman. Always wanted to. I don't know why. I don't think it's just from the outside like some amazing cathedral, but I've always wanted to see the wagons and everything. So if there was an LSU game I would attend this year, it would be that one. I don't have any like a gazillion % locked in. Wife wants to go to LSU Arkansas. I like morning games, and that will be a morning home game. So that's the one I'm probably most likely going to this year. I mean, look at this. Look at this.
And I know a lot's been written, a lot's been said about your exit from Tennessee, but you've kept quiet on social media. I don't think you've addressed any reporters since then until today. Is there any one thing that you'd say is a big misconception or just something that's just flat out wrong that it's kind of been going around?
Yeah, man. I'd say that my decision to leave was extremely hard. One of the hardest decisions that I ever had to make. But family. Family was the biggest thing to me, and a lot of things about financial stuff. It was never that. It was me getting back home closer to my family and playing at the highest level with my family support. So, our Samoan culture, we're always together, and that was a very important thing for me.
Yeah. We just let kids lie. Now I'm not able to see if I'm not able to see the follow up to that. But if there was ever a lie, that's the biggest lie I've ever heard a player get away with. But reporters are afraid of it. Number one, for access reasons. Number two, the player won't ever just admit the truth. And number three, he's a young kid, right? It was 90 gazillion% about money. Sorry. Yeah, I can't let that one slide. Crazy. Big thanks to Chris Phillips for joining us, and we will talk to you soon. Notice this was the week of Chris. Chris Gordy on Tuesday, Chris Marlar on Wednesday, Chris Phillips on Thursday. Awesome stuff. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Big thanks to all our super chatters. Mr. John Sibley Butler coming in hot. Billy Williams. And go hard or go home. Appreciate you. And tonight we are doing steak. Let's go.